Hello, and welcome back to The Casual Fanatic. Today we go to episode 2 of Three Key Men. Today's episode is about Nottingham Forest. As you can see, both shirts behind me. This is back when they were first bought by the Hassawis, and well, that was a different kind of experiment and everything. But now, under new ownership, under new structure, they've made it back to the Premier League. They didn't have the best start to the season, but as we've seen, they've adjusted, they've had a string of good results, they've stayed stuck with their manager despite a string of losses, and it's looking like it could pay dividends. At the end of the day, right now with the Premier League and the way it is at the bottom of the table, it's very competitive. Stringing 2-3 wins together propels you up to mid-table. Getting 2-3 losses in a row could end up not harming you because everyone is losing around you. So there's a lot to play for still this season. Nottingham have struggled in both departments, attacking-wise and defensively. That being said, for me, the most important player for Nottingham this season is Morgan Gibbs-White. Morgan Gibbs-White is his pressures from the front is great. He creates a lot of creating actions from defensive actions, which is very crucial difference to know. Like, it's not his on ball as much, but it's how he defends from the front, winning that ball. He doesn't get dribbled past. He wins tackles, and he's able to be that first line of press for them, winning the ball back and hitting them on counter. And that's what Nottingham need to capitalize on for the rest of the season, because if you don't have that defensive facility, you're not able to score a lot of goals against the bigger teams when you're sitting in a deeper block, especially when they play a very defensive three in midfield. They need that attacking emphasis from the front, and they need to be able to create chances out of nothing. And that's what Morgan Gibbs-White provides for them. The second player we're going to be talking about is the most promising and most important player for them to nurture and develop properly, which is Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson, young Welsh attacker, 21 years old, and really is showing a lot of promise in terms of the way he attacks the ball, the way he's not afraid to dribble. He can play in the entire attacking lineup. His finishing looks solid. He still needs work. He's a young striker, but having that little knack of knowing how to finish, when to finish, what type of finish to go for is very important. And as you can see by the positions he scored goals, he's been scoring them in all different types of angles and all different types of motions. He is underperforming his XG right now, but that's to be expected, especially in a struggling team. He's not going to be putting up 15, 20 goals and having XG of 20 this season. That's not Nottingham's position. That's not where they're at. In terms of league position, they're sitting in a spot where realistically, where do they go from here? Do they say, hey, let's consolidate, let's just take what we have right now, or do we really try and propel ourselves up the table, right? Because for me, it's consolidate. It's ensure that you stay in the Premier League. You took a big gamble this season. They signed the most players. They broke the record for the most signings in the summer. I think it was like 22 signings, and they're still trying to sign in January. And I will be recommending one more signing for them. But they have had problems as well with some of their signings being injured, not gelling well, but that was to be expected. What did they think was going to happen? Signing an entire 2 11s of players. That's never just going to gel. You giving Steve Cooper an impossible task and telling him to just make it work and keep us in the most competitive league in the world. Especially in this season where there is so much competition, where the teams at the bottom of the league have players that could slot in at the top, teams at the top of the league. It's a difficult league to compete in right now. And Nottingham have done a decent job, but they've conceded the second most amount of goals. And they've scored the second least amount of goals, I think. So my recommended signing for Nottingham Forest this season is, let me exactly know how to say his name, Strahinja Pavlovic. Strahinja Pavlovic is my recommended signing for Nottingham this season. He's a player that's 6'4". He's 21 years old. He's a strong, imposing center back from Serbia. You saw him at the World Cup. Didn't have the best games against Brazil, but you saw that there's promise. He's physically dominant. No one is pushing this man off the ball. He's a man mountain. He throws himself into every tackle, which isn't something you see a lot from the bigger center backs. A lot of the time, they want to be more passive. They want to stay off. They want to jockey. They want to have someone else be more their aggressor. But not with Pavlovic. He's throwing that entire frame into everything, which could be so useful for Nottingham. Increasing those blocking stats, increasing those clearances. That's what Pavlovic is there for. And Pavlovic might not come cheap, but Nottingham haven't been afraid to spend the cash yet. And this could be the signing that shoots them up the Premier League table, with them being able to keep their rigidity in the back. Because Nottingham haven't been necessarily bad defensively. There's been a lot of saves and penalty saves from Dean Henderson. He's been immaculate for them this season. But it's when they concede a lot. And that goal difference is going to end up being important, especially when you're going to be in a relegation battle. So keeping those scores low when you are conceding the 5 against United, the 6 against City, and the 3 against United, you need to stop those results from happening. Lose 2-1, lose 2-0, lose 1-0. It makes a difference towards the end of the season. I know you're not getting a point, but it makes a difference. The 1-0 losses will turn into a 0-0 draw potentially, and that's what you need. And maybe even shifting back into the back 5 and having that 3, because Pavlovic is more comfortable in the left side of a 3, but he has showed that he's able to do it in a 4 for Salzburg this season. I think he's the exact kind of player they want. He's going to be a centre-back that can do progressive ball carries. He can take the ball up the pitch. He doesn't have the best weight of passing, but he shouldn't be expected to make those make those incision passes and make the passes into the transition. He needs to have the ball, sometimes dribble out of pressure, get the ball to the closest left back or midfielder, and they can progress the ball. They might not have the most talent and technical ability in midfield, but they are industrious, and that might be enough for Nottingham to keep a solid defence, be tough to beat, and rely on the Morgan Gibbs-White, Brennan Johnson, Awoniyi link-up up front to be able to provide them enough goals this season for them to survive. So those are my 3 key men for Nottingham Forest. See you on the next episode.